Well, good Friday afternoon, everyone. Just got news from the provincial health officer as I was watching the update again that she's cautiously optimistic, which is a better term to use than the sky is falling on us. So on this Friday afternoon, we're trusting that things are actually moving in a good direction here with respect to the COVID virus. And we continue to pray that the Lord would be gracious to us and cause this to end just as quickly as possible. But at the same time, we want to be praying, especially for our world situation and especially our brothers and sisters in some of the hot spots. Think of still northern Italy or Spain or now New York City. So I want to keep that in mind in the days ahead. It was attributed to Winston Churchill, the words, never let a good crisis go to waste. I think that actually was coined earlier than when he said it, but I thought to myself, that's a good term. I was reminded of it when I was driving to work yesterday morning as I was listening to the radio. It was actually a press conference from the governor of New York who was talking about the situation in his state, and he actually quoted that. And as he was discussing the situation where he lived and where he was trying to provide some leadership, he ventured a little bit into a field of a philosophical discussion that I thought was very helpful. He said, as I was listening, that our children face real national adversity for the very first time. I think this is the greatest crisis perhaps since 9/11. That's undoubtedly so, but there's a whole generation of people that have been born since then. So he said for that generation, this is the first national adversity. He says that they are hurting, they are scared, but then he said something that I found very interesting. He said they are learning, and they will be a better people and better citizens for it. I thought that's really good. It puts a positive spin into what otherwise is a very difficult situation. Hard times, in one degree, are good for us, for they shape our character. But they do more than shape our character. I think they also define our character. For it's times like this that really show what we're made of. And I think that's also what is true in a social realm is also true culture. What is true culturally is also true spiritually. That adversity has a way of shaping us, but more than that, it has a way of defining us. You can tell a lot, they say, about a person by how they respond in a crisis. Difficult times reveal something about our characters, something about our natures. And so as I was thinking about that, I asked myself, how is it that we as believers especially respond in a situation like this, in a crisis? The natural response from many people around us, and perhaps even with respect to us, is a response of fear. Fear is never helpful, but it is normal in the sense that it is natural. It is a natural reflex when uncertainty and tragic circumstances and crises surround us. It is a natural response, and sometimes the natural response is a good response. When my child dashes onto the road chasing a ball, I'm afraid for what can happen to that child, and so the reflex action causes me to take action, and that's a good thing. But fear is not always a good thing if we allow it to control us. It was Franklin Delano Roosevelt who said, the only thing that we have to fear is fear itself. That was during the Second World War. And that is true because fear, if left unchecked, can immobilize us to the point that we act in ways that are governed by our fear and not by our minds. Fear can be a great enemy. It reduces objectivity and it hinders wise responses. I was reminded over the last few days that, and I'm not sure if it's true or not, I haven't checked it, but someone said that the term fear not or do not fear is used 365 times in the Bible. want for each day of the year, and I thought that's good. That we are instructed in the Bible not to be afraid, to control our fear. It is actually, if you look at it, an imperative. It's a command. It's something that we are instructed to do, which tells us that we have the ability not to be afraid. Sometimes we go, I just can't help it, I'm afraid. But that's not really true. The immediate impulse might be to be afraid, but we have the ability to control that. We can choose what to do with our fear. Fear is an emotion that can be controlled by the way that we think. The question is, what do we do with our fear? What do we do with our anxiety? What do we do with our concerns? That is the telling question. I, by nature, I have this genetically within me, I'm prone to anxiety. It's a natural, impulsive response within me. I can't do anything about that, but I can determine what I do with that response. I either can follow that train of thought, follow the two words that exemplify the response of anxiety and fear. What if, and I start chasing all the what ifs. Or I can turn that off and focus upon the Lord and replace the thoughts of what if with the thoughts of He's got it in control. He knows what He's doing. This will all work out according to His plan. Those thoughts and what we do with those thoughts take us in two very different directions. One creates greater fear and anxiety and paralyzes us. The other gives us peace and we can relax. That's not always easy to do, but the scriptures do exhort us to take every thought captive, to take those thoughts and to control them in our case, by the power of the Holy Spirit, to replace those thoughts with scriptural thoughts. That's why it's so important to be in the scriptures, to be in the Bible, to hear messages in these days that remind us who God is and the fact that He is actually on the throne. He promises to never leave us and to never forsake us, and we can trust Him. And it's time like this that the rubber meets the road, where our faith is truly tested. And so what do I do when the fear comes my way, when the anxiety rises? I go to scriptures like Matthew chapter 6, where Jesus tells us to not take thought for tomorrow has its own concerns, but to realize that God has everything. He looks after the flowers, He looks after the birds, He provides for all their needs, and He says to us, "O you of little faith." He said that to the disciples on the sea when it was rocking. "Why are you so afraid? Oh, you of little faith." The reason they were so afraid is because, and especially in the case of Peter, as he's walking in the water, is when he gets his eyes on the waves, he starts to sink because he's afraid. But as long as he had his eyes on Jesus, he was good. And so I would encourage us today to keep our eyes on the Lord. He is the solution, not only for this situation, but for any fear or anxiety or concern that comes our way. He is faithful and He is true, and He will see us through. And so my prayer is that He would give to you that peace, even today, and as we face the days ahead. We'll see you on Sunday morning. Thank you for these few minutes together, and I trust that as your day moves on and as we head into this weekend, that God would give you His peace. Thanks for watching.